Uh-oh. That's no good. Hold on. Why is it not capturing this? Oh, preview's up. Says we got it. There we go. What have we got so far? Cow cow. That'll work. And the fade rift. Off me, bitch. I'll take that. Yay. Taking a while to catch up, isn't it?
Bandits? But they would have taken the carts. I don't like this.
A little late for that.
Someone will answer for all these deaths.
That's what I don't get is all what deaths? Oh, I guess there's, yeah, I guess there's a couple dead people here, but...
A shipping label. Someone else is out in this wilderness then. What happened here?
Nobody should be out here but Grey Wardens. Something's very wrong.
Who is responsible for this?
For what? The random dialogue where they freak out about nothing. Oh, whatever. I'm gonna grab all the stuff while we're here. Hey, Jim, what's up, man? Not much, actually. I'll be heading out sooner than later anyway. I can only stream for a little bit today. I have to go at 3. It's not quite 2 o'clock now, so I figured we could do something. It was either that or nothing, so I was like, well, might as well make a little progress, I guess. Right? Okay, so we find out they take these people, they take these prisoners and slaves and whoever they can find, and they use them to plant their red lyrium. Is that not strikingly similar to the blood mages grabbing people and sacrificing them for blood magic? Same thing? I mean, it's really the same thing, right? What the Red Templars are doing to... So I need to stand still for a second. Get all my... Oh, there we go. We just need a couple more things, man. Just a couple more and we'll be good. Bitch. Did I used to stream on an Xbox? I've streamed with an Xbox, yes. know that I want to give all my lazurite away once I get it. Oh, yes. You know what time it is now? We can destroy these assholes. Come on, assholes, what's up? What did they do to kill Cassandra? Ain't no fucking way. Ain't no fucking way. Hey, she didn't die. No. I call bullshit on that. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I call... Okay, I call the game lagging out. Okay, this game already plays slow as a potato on heroin, right? The combat's already mind-numbingly, game-ruiningly slow. Already. And then if you do anything more than one attack in a second, the frame rate drops to like 1 frame a second. It can't handle the combat on 1/10 speed. Does anyone see that? I cast more than one spell at a time. Oh shit. Game damn near locks up, damn near freezes. That's why the combat was slowed down so drastically from Dragon Age 2. At 1/10 speed, at boring speed, it can still barely handle it the way they did. Now, can this game engine handle it? Yes. Do the programmers know what they're doing with the game engine to make it to where it can handle it? No, obviously. You slow down your combat to the point that the first gripe that everyone has about this game is, goddamn, the combat's, it's like I'm walking in tar. It's like I'm stuck in fucking mud and cement. You're already fighting like that, and then if you do anything, the game damn near locks up because it can't handle it. I cast a second spell and the game literally had to stop. I don't know how many calculations a computer is capable of making in a second these days, but when you can't make but one calculation a second, holy crap, there's something really wrong with that. I wish they hadn't used this game engine for this game. Or I wish they had hired some people that knew what they were doing with it to do it for this game. Because that right there, it's either slow or stop. That's, I mean, hell, even Origins had faster combat than that. At least they had haste. You could move around, zip around, do a little stuff. And Dragon Age 2 was top of the mountain when it came to that. And then this. They dropped the combat way down here, and then if you do anything, the game damn near fucking just dies. How pathetic is that? Think about it. We just saw it. I go to cast one spell, and the game literally had to fucking pause. Oh shit, we have to make more than one calculation every 10 minutes. Oh my god. Time to lock up the PS4 and make them reload the game. I mean, wow, man. See? See? It has to damn near freeze. Sad, man. That's sad. No, it's, I mean, no. There wasn't anything special happening there. That wasn't some dramatic cinematic slowdown. No, that was the game damn near locking up because it had to calculate more than one thing at a time on combat that's already been reduced 90% speed-wise. I remember Dragon Age 2 used to have some problems, but you'd be doing so much shit so fast, when you go to tear up the entire map in like 1 second, the game would be like, all right. It would struggle to keep up, but it would do its thing. This doesn't have to do 1/10 of that on a next-gen engine, and it can't handle it. Anytime you cast a second or third spell or if you're playing a Reaver and you start pulling off some real bad criticals and going through some stuff, it'll slow down. Damn near freeze on you. Or just blue screen and send you straight back to the dashboard. Might do that too. Yeah, but that's what that is. Game lag. It's just, it's a crying shame. I don't know how you take so many steps back. You can say what you want about Dragon Age 2, even people that don't like it, you can say what you want, but they took some major steps back with this one. It's pretty. It is pretty, but it's nothing compared to Dragon Age 2. Nothing. Not even close. See? Didn't lag that time. So if that was like a set thing, it would happen. If you know, but no. You'll see what I'm talking about. Just watch. Anytime the game's required to actually do anything at normal speed, it doesn't know what to do. It will damn near freeze up on you. And if you're like, well, damn, dude, why all the hate? It's not. It's really not. You're talking to someone who is definitely a fanboy of the Dragon Age series, and I'm not gonna say I still am. I still want to be, but like when you look at trends with all your favorite games, if you look at the trends, there's nothing to insinuate that it's going to get any better. That it's just going to get much worse until everything's so completely useless, there's really absolutely no games to even spend your money on anymore. That's the way it's going. And I don't see any reason for it to turn around. Like, everyone in the gaming industry is just, as long as they don't say that it's not okay, that they can all pretend that it is okay. And we'll all just live happily ever after, hoping that unicorn shitting pixie dust is going to come flying over that rainbow one day and make games better all of a sudden. Make games great again, you know? Game developers are looking for their own personal Trump or something. It's just not going to happen. There needs to be a big group spanking, a big upheaval, a big slap to the pocketbook of everyone even remotely involved in the gaming industry. Big slap to the pocketbook needs to happen for them to all snap awake and test where their hearts are at. If they're just in it because it's lucrative, but they don't have the mind of an actual game maker, they need to get the fuck on and get out and stop corrupting our industry with their filth and their perversion and their pollution. And make room for people who actually have a passion to make a game worth playing. Gamers will do that. Someone who plays games and makes games also will do that. Or can do that, at least. I won't say will. I know some game developers that play games. Pete Hines would be a good example. Pete Hines with Bethesda. I don't know if his hands are tied to produce the games, the garbage, the absolute dog shit that Bethesda's producing now. I don't know if his hands are tied to just be associated with that. And I mean, he's making a living, probably making a very good one, I'm sure. But I know he plays games all the time. Actually, his name pops up all the time on PlayStation. He's always getting a trophy for different. He plays all kinds of different games and stuff. You would think that that kind of mind would produce games that players would want to play. But it maybe the types of games Bethesda's coming out with now is the types of games they would want to play. Mindless, easy. They damn near play themselves. Set your controller down and you can still win. You know, that type of shit. I mean, maybe that's their thing, so. Maybe. Gotta be some kind of excuse. Oh, appreciate it, Jason. I'm glad. Yeah, maybe I ought to just slow down on the negative and just concentrate on the positive. But then I just feel fake. You know, not calling something for really what it is bothers me. So I'd honestly rather err on the side of that. And if I sound pessimistic, well, so be it. At least I was honest about it. That's how I look at it. We were talking about that very thing last night. Is I don't dislike this. I think it's sad compared to what they can do, because I played. If you aren't spoiled by the first two Dragon Ages, then this is probably just a good game.
Everything.
Simple as that. But when you compare it to the first two,
I don't think this was the Venatori.
it's almost garbage. I mean, in light of that's how good the first two games were, you know.
That would get the Venatori's attention.
And they didn't have to change. They didn't have to abandon everything that they do to make a good game. They got away from it. They just stopped doing the. I can name just some basic things that are a formula for a good game, good Dragon Age game, and they just didn't do it. They just didn't. Did they not bother? Was it laziness? Was it problems with the game engine and they couldn't figure out how to implement any of it? They certainly slowed this game down, right? And you can see why. It can barely run as it is. So, whatever the reason, all I know is if you can't do something the way you do it, then you find another way to do it until you can do it the way you do it, you know? Well, we're going to pick up this game engine because we think it's great. Because this is the game engine that's licensed to us for the next 20 years. This is what EA gave us to work with, and this is what we got. That may be the case. And if that's the case, then their hands were tied. There was really nothing they can do about it. That's maybe the game engine that's licensed to them. Maybe because EA is over this, the same people that make Battlefield, right? And other games that use this particular engine. So it's the only one BioWare could financially get their hands on. That may be the excuse. It may be a legitimate reason. But still, you have to either got to take more time. They already got an extra year or two to develop this game. You got to take more time, or you got to do something because you got to make your product. You can't make somebody else's game because of limitations. You got to find some way to make your game. And I may be speaking, maybe it's easy for me to speak from my side. I wasn't there having to do any of this. I'm giving you my money for a Dragon Age game and I'm not getting one. So all I can do is sit back and say, hey, your customers really don't want to hear all that. They don't want to hear why their hamburger was raw and it made them sick. Well, we couldn't really afford a cook. We couldn't pay the cook to stay overtime to cook your burger. That's really not my fault. I'm sick. I paid for a burger and I didn't get one. That's all the customers can say. So me as a player, now if I was in the studio behind the scenes, a fly on the wall, and I could hear and see exactly why what went down, if nothing else, I'd have put in my 2 cents. I'd say, you got to fix it. You got to make it right. You got to get some people that know how to work with this shit then. Well, we can't just go hiring and firing and doing this and that. I don't know why not. I'd say if your name rides on your product's got to stay right. If you go buying like a certain kind of anything at the grocery store and all of a sudden it's just crap, it's just ass, the price is the same, but it's just garbage. Something you've been buying for years. Like, remember when they changed the taste of Coke? If you ever had original Coke, that shit was fucking amazing. I don't know what the original Coke was like. I'm not that damn old, but old school Coke was good. Then they came out with new Coke and all this when they had to change the formula and copyright this, and they had all these reasons. I don't give a fuck about your reason. Your soda tastes like ass now. It tastes like sugared ass. Doesn't matter why. I'm not gonna buy it. Sales went down. That's their fault. Well, we had to do that. Nobody wants to hear that. So whatever, you know, like I say, whatever tied BioWare's hands behind their back and forced them to use this and do this and work with things they weren't familiar with and whatever. The product, I would have taken something off of the graphics, to be honest. I would have taken something off of maybe some lower resolution textures, right? Maybe, I don't know, something. But I would have sped up the animations. I would have sped up the combat. I would have sped up the things. Even if I would have reduced the number of things you can do, right? I might have expanded the skill trees and reduced the skills. I would have put Blood Mage back in and reduced the number of spells that you had to make animations for. Maybe the number of calculations. Maybe not make everything have odd percentiles of chance based on this and that and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, maybe make it to where you don't have to calculate 300 billionths of a percent on every single thing then. Whatever you have to do to reduce the strain on the amount of RAM that you have access to whatever you got the game engine doing, then do that. But you don't take out the very thing that makes your product, right? If sugar price goes up, then you may have to compensate some other way, but if you got put certain ingredients in your cake, you just got to go with that. Even if you got to shrink the cake, you still got to go with that, because if you change the taste of something, people are going to get away from it. They're just not going to buy your shit anymore. They're just not. I think that's fair to say. So like I say, playing this by itself, not having played anything else, it's a good game. Play the first 2 Dragon Ages and get into them and learn what to expect from one of those games, and then all of a sudden play this, and it has nothing that the first 2 games had. Nothing. No tactics, no real nightmare mode, no real skill build, blood magic, and basic fundamental things that are part of the lore and the gameplay were just stripped from this game inexplicably for no reason. Does it make it bad in and of itself? No. Does it make it a bad Dragon Age game? Yes. That's the problem. So that's what you hear me saying. So if you enjoy the game, well, I enjoy it too. I'm sitting here playing it, obviously, you know. But it's impossible to not constantly notice, because the game throws it in your face. It rubs its nuts in your face all the time about what it doesn't have that is Dragon Age. It's always reminding you how little Dragon Age is actually in this game. That's the problem. That's, you know. So that's specifically where the complaining's coming from. In light of that. As far as just being a good game in and of itself, it's all right. Yeah, sure. Definitely playable. It's recent. A lot of you guys, there's 5 times as many people sitting here watching this stream right now than have watched, my Divinity 2 stream. And Divinity 2 is a 10 times better game. It just doesn't look near as good. And it's old. So nobody's interested, right? So, and also what I think is good, and obviously what other people think is good, is apparently 2 completely different things, right? Hey, Steen, what's going on? Sorry, I'm not saying hi to you guys. Hey, Trevor, what's up, man? You heard they're making a Dragon Age 4. I mean, can we just not go there? Can we not go there? They're so obviously making a Dragon Age 4 that if you need to be told that, this isn't the game for you. This isn't the kind of game for you. Stop playing games. Just don't ever play a video game ever again in your life. Really, I mean, if you need to go there. I heard they're making a Fallout 5. That's so genius. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Thanks for that. Thank you, Captain Obvious, for that. Yeah, why wouldn't they? Well, I heard they're making an Elder Scrolls 6. There's already an Elder Scrolls 6. There's already. They just haven't published it yet. It's already written, already done. Will they make it garbage? Yeah. Absolutely. It's going to be complete trash. Unless they make a complete 180. Don't know why they would. There's nothing financially to propel them to make a good Elder Scrolls ever again. Or a good Fallout game, for that matter. If you want another good Fallout game, you probably have to find some people left over from Obsidian or Interplay. That'd probably be your only hope. But saying, I heard they're making another one. Wait, you already knew, and as long as everyone else on the planet knows they're making one, why would you even say that? I heard they're making a Dragon. Well, of course they are. The game's not over. There's sequels to come. There's going to be a Dragon Age 5 too, and 6 probably. I mean, until they're done with the story. But you didn't think there was going to be 9 episodes of Star Wars? They were already written. They just hadn't made the movies for them yet. I heard they're making a Star Wars episode 5. You heard that? Everyone else in the world knew that. You just heard that? Oh, that's sad. Did he just go Aru again? Oh my god, there's another archer? There's not that many archers here. There's not that many archers here. There's not... they spawn another archer. That's crazy. Never seen that before. No, that's never happened before. Hey, Robert, what's going on, man? Never got an extra archer. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting it to be there because he doesn't exist. I can sit here and count the enemies that I've got right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sit here and count them. There's no more than that. And my static cage disappeared? I wonder why. Right. Can't shoot that archer either, even though I've got him targeted. That's interesting. I've seen this before. This is weird. He won't die either. Wow, this is crazy. Yeah, there's something really odd going on. Yeah, the game cannot handle it. Just can't handle it. Yeah, that's really not a problem there. This thing right here. Unless, you know what may have happened, that archer may have disappeared and reappeared over here. I've seen enemies do that. They'll just warp. Like, technically they're supposed to be here, but the game will show them over here and they'll just zip back. Sometimes they won't even be walking. They'll just be standing there and they'll just go. And NPCs do it at your campsites all the time, too. That may have been it, I guess. He may have just moved, but otherwise, he shouldn't have even been there. Oh, whatever. Doesn't matter. Got through it now. But yet you're still here? Well, you're not here now. Well, if you hadn't unsubscribed, I would have unsubscribed you. There you go. You're certainly unsubscribed now. It's all good as long as you have magic fire, right? That's no good. I think I need to stop at the store more often and get rid of this crap. Level 16, I won't be using that for a long time. It's really not even worth waiting on. Level 14. 14. She's already got that. Right. That's cool. Same thing. Nice. That's a whole lot better than what he had, right? That's actually 6.5 critical chance. Nice. I'm digging that whole critical chance thing. Oh shit. I had a bunch of garbage. Actually, you can wear that belt to focus. You can wear that. I had a bunch of trash. And all this is getting destroyed. Most of it. 15% cooldown. Don't really want to get spoiled to having that. Yeah. Yeah, we better. I better just chill on that. All right. I gotta make some room.
You've adjusted to the Inquisition quickly, Vivian. We must lack many of the luxuries to which you are accustomed.
One does not survive the Orlesian court without learning to adapt, my dear.
Skyhold is hardly the Orlesian court.
You needn't tell me that. We all have our little sacrifices.
I like finding blue stuff, even if I'm not going to use it. Makes me feel like I'm finding something worth having, type of thing. Even if it's not. Now these keystones for this door are the same as the shards you find. And I doubt that's just to save resources and just to reuse the same assets. I'm guessing they actually have something in common. But the same sound and the same look of a shard. See, there's going to be some hidden truth in the lore behind that. I don't know what, but something. It'll tell you some hidden secret thing like who really was behind the building of these buildings and what they were really for and who they belonged to and who made these shards and what they were for and what they had to do with why shit went down in the first place and all that kind of stuff. Etc., etc., etc. Where's that, that rune? Is it in the main chamber? Is it? I thought it was over here. Hold on. It's not in here. It must be in the main chamber. Yeah, same doors and everything, obviously. So, if this was ancient Tevinter stuff, I guess I'm going by the statues and things. But all this shit was of elven design. Does this trace all the way back to the very, very beginning? When Tevinters possibly served the first elven magisters like Corypheus? I still think Corypheus is an elf.
Is this what they were after?
An ancient elf.
Bound to whatever magic was used here.
Probably worshipped as some kind of god or direct representative or associate of whatever. Oh, this is definitely blood magic. Froze all this shit in place, huh? Oh well, shit.
Careful.
That's not what I wanted to hear.
Dead!
All right, so like when I was talking about last night, you kind of see it start to work here. Oh yeah, agreed. The little background stuff, they did that really good in Mass Effect 2, I thought. Especially Mass Effect 1, I thought was... Yeah, they've always been just banter, companion banter. Alright, so we want our cooldown to be basically maxed out. Guess it's over there somewhere. I can't see it. Can't. God damn, bitch! She ice lasered the crap out of the whole party right there. Energy barrage. Well, that's something.
Someone would have freed the demons eventually. At least we were here to stop them.
Well, that's a good attitude. Shit was gonna go down regardless. At least it was us here. Off we go. Yeah, Isabella and Aveline, those two were as bad as Alistair and Morrigan, or Sarah and Vivian, or trying to think. Didn't really have any companions that didn't like each other in Mass Effect. Some were more friendly than others, but nobody was really... I don't remember anyone really having any animosity towards the other one. That's blood there. Interesting. That was a blood magic barrier. Fueled, no doubt, by all these poor slaves that they brought here in cages to make their red lyrium and... whatever. Once again, it's the fucking mages. And you can blame what's happening to the Templars on mages as well. This is Corypheus that gave them the ability to turn into abominations and use red lyrium in the same way that you would use blood and blood magic to become abominations. Which is the very thing they're supposed to be fighting against. Think about it. It's the same shit. Man, what are you doing? Calm down, bitch. You just came over here to be an asshole. There you go. Now there's a Bronto in the Fade. Terror. You see demons running in the Fade and this Bronto charging behind him and all these demons running in terror. Flocks of demons everywhere. Can you just picture it? Fade touched ring velvet. Son of a bitch. I'll take that.
A chantry symbol out here. Odd.
I could say one thing, in my opinion, they did in this game that was better than the first two. While I'm sitting here comparing them, which apparently I'm on some kind of fucking rant comparing these games. So, to be fair, the DLCs in this game open up so many doors to answers to all the questions concerning the lore. You can go as deep into the lore as you want, and there's stuff in the DLCs. All three of them. The Descent is chock full of that shit. Introducing the Titans and stuff, possibly answering a lot of questions, or at least substantiating a lot of theories, if you have them, you know? DLCs are pretty rich in this game, and they're all really well done. Like, they took as much care in the environments and the story and putting certain things in their environments as, like, clues and hints, like, what is that doing there? And if that's there, then that means it's associated with this, and you can start making associations, which you'll find don't make any sense with Dragon Age history as it's been passed down to the people in Dragon Age. But the lore, as it's revealed, is just the opposite of everything that's ever been said to anybody about anything in Dragon Age starts coming out. You know, look at the Jaws of Hakon. One key thing in the Jaws of Hakon is that one elf that was an Inquisitor. The Chantry covered that shit up. Like, that doesn't exist in history specifically because of the Chantry, who's been responsible for much history. So if that's been overwritten and lied about and covered up and washed out of history, what else? You find out that basically everything's been washed out of history for some friggin' reason or another. You know, a political reason, a religious reason, a personal reason. Because I was enemies with those people, so I'm not going to give them any credit for anything, so I'm just going to write them out of history completely. That type of shit. Or that doesn't fit in with my religious shit that I'm teaching so I can get everybody's money, so we're just going to just not talk about that. That type of stuff. And that happens in the real world, so I like that they put that dynamic in the game, and you find out basically everything you ever heard was bullshit. Nobody knew what they were talking about. Nobody in the Chantry, none of the Templars, none of the Seekers, none of the Circle, none of the anybody, you know? They talk about the Fade and the Veil and this and that and blah, blah, blah. They don't even know what that's about. And these are the people that are supposed to be able to teach you about it. And then it just gets more and more ignorant from there, you know? I think that's pretty cool. That's like a realistic dynamic that they have in the game.
Hi, dragon!
Along the rocks. Dragons were done really well in this game, too. Hey, Ben, what's up? I don't think I grabbed that up there, did I? No, I didn't. I love what they did with the water. How'd that feel, asshole? That's getting really fucking annoying. Super annoying, bitch. Can I get the barrier back within, like, an hour, please? Thanks. That'd be great. You know, this brings up an issue. What do I go for? Do I go for... Normally, when I play a Reaver or a Rogue, I stack my critical damage rings. And then I get my critical chance off everything else. All my equipment and all my gear. But with this, Winter's Grasp Ring gives you a huge chunk of extra damage. And Energy Barrage gives you a huge chunk of extra damage too, which I just picked up that ring. So let me check that out. Energy Barrage increases ability damage by 30%. So when you do that, when you use Energy Barrage, it's got like 66% of weapon damage. So if you add 30% of that, it doesn't make it 96. 30% makes it like 22, 88. So it's almost full weapon damage times 12. But if all of those are criticals, but you can increase your critical damage by a solid 20% too with the superb critical damage rings. I guess I'd have to just run with it and just test it, huh? To see. I see Winter's Grasp, 30% damage. And it's got a huge damage spike. So I think I may give my critical damage rings to... I may split them up. I may give like one to Varric. And give one to Cassandra. Unless she's gets a ring for Shield Bash. See, that's pretty devastating too, because Shield Bash has a huge buff. Like, see, Winter's Grasp has 1,000% damage buff. At times. When it's used against a chilled target. And so, kind of hard to pass up 30% of that. That's and then if it's critical anyway, then you're already taking whatever critical modifier you've got, which I think criticals start at 50% automatically, right? Isn't that something like that? Critical damage. Critical damage bonus. No, it starts at 30%, right? 40? Maybe 40%? I think it's 30%. Let's see, how much damage do I... Well, I've got some dex. Let me see, how much dex do I have? 18 dex. Where am I getting 18 dex from? Oh, there's 8. Yeah, there it is. That's my 8 dexterity. Okay, so you start at 10. 8 dex is 8% critical damage. So what did it say my critical was? Okay, so it starts at 40. It starts at 40 automatically, regardless. I need to get this up to about 67, 65, 60 something. So I'll be sinking a bunch of shit into that. See, I can make that closer, almost, I can make that 88%. True enough. But then I'd be losing 60% of my overall. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to roll with that this time. I don't think I am. I'm sitting here trying to do the math, and I'm like, well... I only needed one more shard, huh? To go open that spirit. I'll leave old Mr. Snuffleupagus down there alone, I think. Those things take like an hour to kill. They have the same everything as a bear. And sometimes they take even longer to kill than a damn bear. What do they call quillbacks? We're gonna have to kill some of those anyway just to attract the dragon. Speaking of that, let's just make our way over there. Yeah, I've sat here farming those guys and then realized that whatever their hides or skins give you, I could easily find somewhere else. Better. They're like tier 2 and, you know. See, I need to have Winter's Grasp back already to get an extra attack right there. While you need to have enough mana to get that last attack in before your static cage wears off. You can wear a ring that makes your static cage last longer, but then you sacrifice 30% of your damage. 20 to 30% of your damage either way. That ring slot needs to be taken up by critical damage, an ability ring. That quillback gonna come troll us while we're trying to do our Fade Rift? Here we go, watch this. Oh yes, this is gonna be awesome. Yay, Cloud.
trail leads on.
Alrighty.
Nothing to report, sir.
Anyone read Russian?
Visitors. Thank the Maker. It's been so long since I've spoken to anyone. Have you come to observe the wildlife too?
I think I found your supplies. A dead man out in the desert had these on him.
Dead? Blessed Andraste. What about Marcus or Jeannette? This is terrible news. I am Frederic of Serrault, foremost researcher
Serrault?
of criminology in Orlais. I came here with an expedition from the university. But the others are all missing, and our work has been halted. White Claw raiders have made off with much of our supplies. You will help me reclaim the equipment, will you not? You will champion the advancement of science.
I have the supplies you were waiting for right here.
Some of our equipment is still missing. If you happen to find more of it, please let me know.
We'll have to speak.
How many do you need? 5? 5. That figures. You need 1 or 2 more than whatever you've got. If you've got 30, you need 32. If you've got 952,000, you need 952,002. Doesn't matter. You always need 1 or 2 more, right? Isn't that the way it always is? Oh, this chantry door up here. This is the barrier that if you're playing with that one trial that promotes enemies, this barrier will have a barrier that has a barrier. You can't break it. You can't. It doesn't matter what you do. You cannot break it. It's really kind of funny. Well, it's not funny when you're playing because you have to reload, but it's kind of funny. Barrier. It's really kind of ridiculous. Oh, that's one of Vivian's books. I know where the last one is, too. It's in the Exalted Plains, where I hadn't actually planned on even going, to be honest.
Who put all this here? Venatori?
This is actually placed here by the wardens trying to dig down into the deep roads. I believe. Then they heard the calling and ran off to go find one of Corypheus's lackeys to go all kill themselves. We're here to save you by killing each other and making demons. Okay, there's no amount of insanity that makes that look like a good idea. Y'all are just, well, your wardens are beyond redemption. Beyond redemption. No saving them. Can't fix that kind of stupid. They're completely responsible for everything they're doing, too. Because they actually believe it's a good idea. I think I have to go up there. Oh, did you study Russian? That's actually pretty cool. I do not claim to have ever studied another language. I know very little. Don't really have a grasp for it. And I know that. I know that. I would struggle with that. Because to me, language is meaning of words as opposed to just knowing the definition of words. It's also implication and meaning and stuff, and I would miss that. Well, I guess with a lifetime of study, you could gather that from somebody else's language too. I guess with a lifetime of it, but that's probably what it would take for me. I'm not one of those that can grasp the fundamentals and the meanings and all the fine points of a language. Some people can learn like 17 languages and shit. I don't know how they do it. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't see how they do it. But it was AJ Dizzle. It was mages that did it. It was mages that did it. It's the warden mages. There's not a single. All the warden soldiers are basically seduced by the blood mages amongst the wardens to give themselves over. That's what blood mages do. They manipulate the mind as well. Maybe some wardens are just politically correct enough to sit here and not want to offend and just be willingly sacrifice their lives. There may be some, but not all of them. The stronger-willed ones are subject to their blood magic. I would guess Stroud, having plenty of experience with blood mages, having dealt with the blood mages at Kirkwall, remember? Which is where you first meet Stroud at the very end of Dragon Age 2. I would say that he probably had some defenses. But the rest of them, you can see them possessed, mind controlled, raise your hand, lower your hand, snap your fingers, go to sleep, wake up. Like literally, like hypnotized. And then they're murdered by their fellow mage wardens. It's the mages. Once again, it's the mages. I'm not saying that to point it out. I'm observing the fact that it's the mages, again, doing that. So is it the wardens? No, it's the mages amongst the wardens. Can't refute it because that's a fact. It's the mages doing it. You know, it'd be interesting. Everyone says, well, okay, really the only way to really deal with magic is to eradicate it. Because you can't... What are you going to do? Commit some form of, I don't know what the word for it would be, not genocide, but what are you going to do? Just literally exterminate every mage once you discover they have magic? You think people hide mages now to keep them out of the circle? What would parents be doing to hide their children then if they were, aborted instantly upon discovering they have any form of magic? Finding some way to test in the womb if they have magic, and then you just can't do that. Now you're getting off into, but the only solution is to eradicate it because it is a danger. Because once you put it in the hands of man, it becomes a weapon. Inevitably becomes a weapon. At some point, the mage will find some emotional excuse. Some demon will seduce a mage to misusing their magic, and it'll be turned as a weapon against man. That's what always happens. Is the mage to blame or not? Doesn't even matter whether they're to blame or not. Their guilt doesn't undo the damage that they do. Or their innocence, it doesn't matter whether they meant to or not. Like if I set fire to my neighborhood right now and kill everybody in their houses accidentally. In fact, something sets fire in my house while I'm gone, and it burns down my neighborhood and everyone else in my neighborhood dies, right? My fault or my innocence or my guilt or whatever has nothing to do with the disaster and all the loved ones of all the people that died who now have to suffer that pain and misery for the rest of their life. All of that loss because of some, in other words, well, okay, now as far as whether I get punished for it or not, whatever. But the fact is, that happened. You can't undo that. So in this case, the mage is like that same thing, but bound to happen. In other words, it's one thing if I've got a fire hazard in my house and I don't know it, but it's another thing if I have a fire hazard in my house and I know it, and I leave so that it doesn't set me on fire, and then it can burn everyone else down. You see what I mean? Then I'm guilty. Then I know. That's what a mage is like. That's what a mage is like. You've got that fire, and you know. And unless you do something about it, unless you discipline that, contain it, undo the fire hazard, it's going to go off. It's bound to happen. Because a mage is going to get pestered night and day, 24/7, while they're awake and while they're asleep, until they're driven fucking nuts and are turned into a magic weapon, or until the demon finds some purchase, something to hold on to tempt that mage to do its bidding. Like, you don't have to tell the mage, go do evil. You can tell the mage, go do this. It would be a good thing. And it's an evil thing, but the mage is convinced it's a good thing. Twist that mage's mind until that mage is convinced something evil is good. You think that can't happen? A bunch of people voted for Hillary and thought it was the right thing. Yes, it can happen. Yes, absolutely, 100%. So there's another solution. What if everyone had magic? Everybody. All right, bitch, we'll all throw fireballs. Fuck it. The world might end in a second, or everyone would learn a little respect, and you learn not to fuck with your peers. In Tevinter, there is some discipline amongst the mages. Most of the killings and murders and death and shit like that happen amongst servants and slaves. There's a lot of slaves. Like, you remember Loghain in Dragon Age Origins? He was selling slaves to the blood mages in Tevinter to fund his war effort to destroy Ferelden, right? To fund his civil wars, to arm people to go out and rape and burn down villages and do shit like that, to keep all the band ships scattered and fighting against one another so that the Darkspawn could have free reign to just walk through Ferelden. That's what Loghain was doing. But he was selling those slaves. What those slaves are used as the magisters to use those slaves because you can't really fuck with fellow magisters, right? Unless you poison one or something like that. Other than that, they got as much magic as you got. And so there is at least some respect there. It's kind of like America and Russia were some 20, 30 years back, where I got as many nukes as you got. If you push the button, we all die. So there was that standoff, be more armed instead of unarmed type of thing, right? And you understood you can't just break into my house, you're gonna get fucking shot. It was that type of thing. So what if everyone had magic? And you had a level, and I don't wonder if there was a time where that was the case, that everyone was magical, that all the creators and the creation were essentially kind of equal in a sense. You had the first of the Maker's creation. Now, this is all according to game lore. You had the first of the Maker's creations, and they were given to be allowed to create. And basically, the world would be conformed according to their will. Here's your playground. Play in it. Let's see what you do with it. Type of thing. That's what I get from the game lore. I don't know. I mean, that's chantry rhetoric, and most of that is bullshit. So what if that's true? But I'm guessing there's a kernel of truth that came from. So go back to the beginning. What if magic was something that was available to all, and then the old magisters found a way to seal their magic away from the people? If you remember the first elves, you know where the blood writing came from? Do you know what that was? Blood writing? You know, the what's it called? The Velaceline, I think it's how, I don't know exactly how you say it. But it's the blood writing that the elves use by tradition now. Do you know what that was? That was a symbol of slavery, servitude, mind control. It was used for mind control. I think that was the first tranquil. That was the first way to make someone tranquil. That's what I believe. I believe that was the first tranquility used by the original elven magisters to subdue their creation. Mainly speaking of the elves. I think a similar writing was done with lyrium on the dwarves, and so on and so forth. And I think the art was passed down to eventually make mages tranquil. But what it is, it's the subduing of magic and someone magical. Well, once magic had been basically bred out of many people, now only a few mages remain, and those mages that do rise up inevitably find in the world that we're in that they have too much power, and unless they learn to discipline it, they become a weapon. And even if they do learn to discipline, they still become a weapon, often. Oftentimes, they still become a weapon. Look at Orsino. Well, Orsino was a serial killer, pervert, rapist, freak of nature, etc., etc. He was a serial kidnap. I mean, just every bad thing that there was that you could sum up in an individual. So Orsino's not a really good example. But other mages that turn bad, or that turn violent, or that go apostate, and apostate to the sense they turn to blood magic and eventually find a way to harness more power so they can kill more effectively, right? It inevitably happens. But if everyone still had magic, which I believe everyone had it at first, I believe magic wasn't an exception. I think it was the rule. I think it's the way everything was created. I think there's also something to be said for, apparently, Solus in the original elves, Solus offered refuge for the elves to remove their blood writing and get away from that mind control. He essentially was considered the black sheep amongst the old gods or something, or the original ancient elves, or the first creators, or whoever the fuck they were back then. We still don't really know. They haven't really been clear about that. But wherever Solus came from, he came against them, and I think what they were doing was depriving the people of magic so that they could be worshipped as such, using their magic as a sense of deity, godhood, and suffered as such. And they let that go to their heads to the point that they tried to breach the actual fate itself. Perhaps the very veil that Solus himself had created to separate the creation from the maker. And thereby probably severing the magic power that most people would have permanently. So in trying to undo what these old ancients had done, he inadvertently magnified anything they could have done 10,000 times worse, and destroyed everything on that side of the veil and much on this side of the veil also by creating that veil, because he cut off the creation from the very thing that created them in the first place. What would you call it? Their source of life? Whatever. Their source of knowledge, their source of wisdom, their source of knowing, their source of the ability to transfer thought. Like apparently way back in the day, all you had to do was essentially think it and everyone knew it. There was a unity. There was a oneness. And the first Magisters broke that up, and Solus did this emotional knee-jerk ass reaction and destroyed fucking everything, trying to do something nice, I guess, or whatever. He was probably your first Anders, your first rebel mage, who in being a powerful, misguided pervert did more harm than whatever he claimed to be fighting against ever could have done in a million years, all in one fell swoop. That's what I gathered from what Solus did. He being Dragon Age's version of the devil, for lack of a better analogy. But my thought is, what if everyone had it? What if everyone had magic? Again. Instead of doing away with it completely, give it to everybody. Can I get a research supplies here, man? Oh, there's one. I still need one more.
These are probably the supplies that little man was waiting for.
that little man. I love how I said that little man. Yeah, Solus is a piece of shit, most definitely. Actually, you do get to see the country. Well, you get to see a glimpse of it in the Trespasser DLC. You get to see the Qunari lands. the hell's it doing over there? Oh, come on, man. Really? How many assholes are gonna make me hunt down to... Well, I had hoped it'd be enough to come over here, but apparently not. There we go. What, the thing's immune to electric? Really? Not immune to that, though, is it? Oh, that looked kind of cool, actually. Alright, so that's all we needed. That little man. Oh, when we capture the fort here, I can get a bunch of enhanced belts of focus. Then we're going to go kill the hinterland dragon and get a superb belt of focus. And then we're just going to be slinging shit around like hamsters on crack. Like a gerbil on coffee. Like a shithouse rat on amphetamines.
After more than 30 days, I have yet to observe the abyssal high dragon in... Oh.
And I'm
Yes?
supposed to be gone
Can
at
I
3
assist
o'clock.
you?
God damn it. Well,
I have the supplies you were waiting for right here.
Now that I have my recipes back, I'll be able to concoct a bait the high dragon cannot resist. I have most of what I need, but I still need to gather quillback intestines and a phoenix's tail feather.
We'll have to speak some other time.
alright, well, I'm already past due, it looks like. Okay, well, shit. Alright, so let's do this. Definitely want that. Definitely want that. Oh, we're golden now. Well, people, I was supposed to be gone at 3. It's like 3:15 now. Shit. It's alright. No. before I say something to hurt anyone else's feelings and lose any more subscribers. Wow. Oh, too much. All right, well, we'll pick it up right there. I don't know if I can get back on later this evening or not. If you guys care, I can try. But either way, I guess I'll see you guys tomorrow. Normally I take Monday, Tuesday off now, but I'll probably see you guys tomorrow evening. Maybe even the next. Yeah, there's like 40 people here too. That kind of sucks. I'll try to get back. I had like no sleep last night either. So come this evening, I may probably just want to maybe just start earlier tomorrow and stream all day tomorrow. I may do that too. But no harm, no foul, because The Walking Dead's fixing to come on here in not too long, so you guys won't miss me too much. And if you guys, oh, you're unsubbed. All right, well, shit. Unsub, that's it. Never watching your videos again. All right, well, all right. Sorry, still gotta go. Either way. But I'll try to get on this evening. Probably not, but maybe. I don't know. You all get a notification if I do. But appreciate you hanging out. Even if it was just for a little bit. Almost thought about just not bothering, but I told you guys I'd stream today, so I jumped on for a minute. Wound up being too long. Let me get out of here, and if nothing else, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and probably see you all day tomorrow, because I don't have anything else to do that I know of. All right, so I am out of here, and I will catch you guys later.